Hey, what's up, guys? Raymaster Flex here, and I just finished watching Smackdown Live over an hour ago, and I couldn't help but make a video on the reuniting, the reformation after nearly 5 years of being broken up. Especially after about 2 years ago, Daniel Bryan had to announce his retirement. Now, Team Hell No has reformed and have reunited on SmackDown Live, and I gotta say, I was pretty surprised to see Kane show up on SmackDown Live when uh, when Daniel Bryan had a pretty decent match with Luke Harper, and him and Eric Roman started to attack Daniel Bryan. The next thing you know, Kane's music played. He comes out to save Daniel Bryan and end off the show. These two guys hug each other, and Paige announced that they're going to face the Bludgeon Brothers at Extreme Rules. I would say that shocked the mess out of me because I didn't really see that coming at all. Of course, it's a nostalgia act, but this was a team. This was a pretty one of the, I want to say, strangest, most weirdest teams I'd ever seen in the WWE. When these guys formed, they formed over being in an anger management class. The first of all, they were rivaling with each other because they had a match against each other at SummerSlam in 2012. Then they were nearly forced to be a tag team, and they would always get into arguments. And Dan Brown was, and when they defeated during the time they won the tag team titles, even before they and even before they won the tag team titles, you know, when they were tag team champions, you always had Daniel Bryan saying, "I'm the tag team champion." No, I'm the tag team champion. Like they would say themselves as one person, like I as one person, the tag team champions. It was just a really crazy thing with these guys. They had some classic matches against the Shield. You know, they retained their titles at WrestleMania 29 against Big E, and at that time he was fully known as Big E Langston, and Dolph Ziggler. They retained their titles at WrestleMania. They held the tag team titles for a pretty long while before they lost it to the Shield. Ironically enough, they lost the tag team titles at Extreme Rules, uh, which is the same pay per view that they're going to face the Bludgeon Brothers. Like I said, I really didn't expect this, especially when it's been so long since these guys have been together as a tag team. It was just quite out of the blue when I seen it. I mean, because I thought for sure they were going to give Daniel Bryan some type of singles push at some point. Maybe not for the grand prize, because given that he had two injuries back to back years, it wouldn't be the smartest choice to put him in the main event picture that fast. But I just thought that he was going to get a good big singles push, and all of a sudden, now they got him in this thing with the Bludgeon Brothers that all started last week when they had the little gauntlet match, and the Bludgeon Brothers didn't like the fact that he interrupted them leaving from the ring after they had just defeated Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Next thing you know, they attack him after he wins by countout against Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe. So it just, I don't know. It came out of nowhere for me. Like I said, the only reason they formed in the first place because they pretty much argued every time they were together as a team. You know, could never seem to get along. But then they would have like their hugging out sections that all begun because they both had to go to anger management. First, they made Dave Bryan go, then they had Kane go, and next thing you know, these guys formed a tag team. And which it made sense because of the way that they acted towards each other. It made sense for them to have a team name like that, Team Hell No, which was just insane. Like I said, um, they had some really good matches as a tag team. Um, like I said, at TLC that year, they teamed up with Ryback when Ryback actually was in the company, and they had a great match with the Shield and to end off the year. Then at the Royal Rumble, which that I felt that hilarious. Daniel Bryan had actually eliminated Kane, I believe, and then he got thrown into Kane. He tried to like grab Kane, thinking Kane was going to protect him from getting eliminated. The Kane dropped him to the floor because they had just defended their tag team titles early in the night against the Roll Scholars. Yeah, it was the Roll Scholars. They had just beaten them and retained their tag team titles. And then he tried to Daniel Bryan, he tried to grab on Kane, thinking Kane wasn't gonna let him go. But it's like, after you just eliminated me, you really think I'm not gonna let you go? And he drops Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan falls down, and the next thing you know, Daniel Bryan's eliminated at that Royal Rumble. But they just had a lot of on and off stuff with them too when they was a team at that time. You kind of knew that it wasn't gonna last, but they were just fun to watch because they did put on some great matches, especially with the Shield, especially against the Shield. There was even one time these guys had a match on Raw. I can never forget this. They teamed up with the Undertaker against the Shield. Now, of course, they lost the match, but it was a heck of a match because the next night on Raw, the next night on SmackDown, excuse me, um, Undertaker had defeated Dean Ambrose in a submission, which is when they put Undertaker out of his misery and put him through a table. But that was a classic match right there on Raw when Team Hell No and the Undertaker went against the Shield. You know, they had a lot of great matches. Even when they lost the tag team titles, that was a great match. Um, when they faced Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, then just like I said, it's great to see them back together. Uh, it would kind of be interesting to see them go against the Bludgeon Brothers. I mean, because uh, as a tag team, they've never faced Luke Harper, Eric Rowan. They have faced them, you know, in separate feuds. You know, when Daniel Bryan was feuding with the Wyatts, he went against them, but never teamed with Kane because at the time that him and Kane were together, the Wyatts hadn't even debuted yet, and by the time they had broke up, which was like really not long after they lost the tag team belts, is when they kind of broke up as a tag team. That's when the Wyatts had debuted, and the very first feud they had was actually with Kane, but it wasn't them two together. It was Bray Wyatt himself. So it's just interesting to see, this dynamic here because this is technically the first time that these two as a team are going against Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. They never faced them as a tag team, so that's going to be interesting to see. I just wonder what exactly made them put them into a storyline with them, particularly Daniel Bryan, for so to speak. You know, because you got people saying, they're going to kind of take away the tag team division. You give the tag team titles to a guy like Kane, who's in his 50s, and then have Dave Bryan have them win the belts or something. I mean, we'll see what happens. I wouldn't say that they're going to win the belts that fast, but then again, we've seen what happened when they had the Shield reunite last year. Next thing you know, they had them win the tag team belts. Really, that was before the whole team reunited. That was just when Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose reunited. They had them win the tag team gold. So it wouldn't be surprising if they had Kane and Daniel Bryan win the tag team gold. Uh, but we'll see what happens. So like I said, a really interesting sight. I couldn't believe because Kane's been gone for a while. Um, I would say Kane has been gone ever since he came showed up on that ever since he had that match against John Cena on Raw because he had first came back to choke slam John Cena around the time John Cena was talking smack about the Undertaker trying to fuel the fire to get the Undertaker to come on Raw um, to have a match with him at WrestleMania, which Undertaker never showed up on none of the shows up until WrestleMania itself, and Kane actually appeared on one of those episodes to chokeslam Cena, which the very next week they had a match on Raw, and Cena, of course, won the match. That was really the last time that I recall seeing Kane. So it's been about 2 months or so since Kane has even been in the company, and I know he's trying to run for mayor in real life if he's not mayor already. So it's nice to see Kane come back, and I mean they don't really have much for him to do that much these days. It was nice to see him come back and help Daniel Bryan. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with this because the fans really seem into it. They really seem invested to it. I do think that this was a pretty strange and awkward tag team, but they were funny back when they were first formed the whole Team Hell No thing. And it made sense because they never got along. They always argued over little bitsy things um, when they were a team. It was just always something between them. Even at the Elimination Chamber, uh, Daniel Bryan tried to get Kane eliminated, which they both ended up getting eliminated by Mark Henry at that Elimination Chamber. But they just had a lot of tensions and a lot of things that departed them. But funny thing was, they lost the tag team titles at Extreme Rules to the Shield in 2013. The very next year, they faced each other at Extreme Rules for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Back when Daniel Bryan was the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, the title he had just won at WrestleMania 30. They actually faced each other the very next year at Extreme Rules. So it's actually funny to see how the first year they teamed together at Extreme Rules, lost, and the next year they faced each other at Extreme Rules, and Daniel Bryan won. Now this year they're going to be teamed together again at Extreme Rules, which would be the first time that happened in over 5 years, and only this time, they're facing the Budget Brothers for the tag team titles. At that time, they actually were the tag team champions, and they lost the belts. This time, they're challenging for the tag team belts. So, I mean, only thing is, I kind of just wonder what happened to opportunities around here because it just seems like not just with the tag team belts, but it just seems like with a lot of things, they're just throwing matches out here for titles and not really having contenders matches for the belts. It's just kind of strange here, but you know, like I said, it was an interesting sight. Um, I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with this whole Daniel Bryan Kane's thing with Team Hell No. Like I said, really funny team that originally formed in 2012 after they were both forced to be in anger management. From there, I remember it was this one episode of Raw because at that time I was like 12. To think how long it's been since they actually formed that team. I was in actually middle school when they formed that team, and now I'm 18. Um, I remember there was an episode where the doctor, so to speak, or the psychologist that was supposed to like make sure that they would be calm, he actually lost it on one episode because he kept trying to stop them two from going back and forth, and then he lost it, and they stared at him. Like it's just insane. They have a lot of history. Like I said, they defeated R-Truth and Kofi Kingston for the tag team belts at Night of Champions because at SummerSlam they faced each other and Daniel Bryan won the match, and then they teamed together at Night of Champions. And it was actually funny how they won the belts because Daniel Bryan actually pushed Kane onto R-Truth. He fell on R-Truth, or I believe it's Kofi Kingston, one of them, and he got pinned like that, and that's how they ended up winning the belts. And they kept saying, "I'm the tag team champions. No, I'm the tag team champion. No, I'm the tag team champion." So I wonder if they're gonna do something like that again, where if they beat the Bludgeon Brothers for the titles, they're gonna start screaming, "I'm the tag team champions." I mean, like I said, now of course this is a nostalgia act because there's a lot more teams out there now that are well deserving to actually win the tag team golds. A lot of talents out there that would be much needed to win the tag team gold on SmackDown Live. Um, you got Insanity is there now. You have a lot of up and coming tag teams that can win the tag team gold. So I can understand some frustration of people saying, why put a team like this that's nostalgia act, an old tag team like Team No. I mean, like I said, the crowd was into it, but you got some people who are saying like, why would you put a team like this, a nostalgia act as old as Kane is, to back together to win the tag team gold? because that's most likely what's gonna happen. Unless Luke Harper and Eric Roman, unless they get themselves disqualified, I don't think they're gonna retain the tag team belts. And it's kind of weird because this is really their first time where their match is gonna be on the main show. It's actually gonna make the card because um ever since they won the tag team belts from the Usos at WrestleMania, which they have not even been on the main card because the Greatest Royal Rumble was a huge live event, which I can't really say that that was a pay per view because it wasn't. It was just a big live event in which they retained against the Usos. But the only other time they was on pay per view was against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and that match wasn't even on the main card. That match was in the pre-show. So this is only their second time being on the main card ever since they won the belts because they were the challengers for the belt at WrestleMania, and this is their only time that they're going to be on the main card as the tag team champions, which is just insane. Because there's no way you're telling me they're going to put Dave Bryan and Kane on the pre-show. There's just no way that's going to happen. They're definitely making the main card for this match, but I don't see them retaining. Like I said, they do retain. It's probably going to be in some type of cheap fashion, but I really don't see them retaining the belts at this point. Um, at least the good thing I can say is that they won the belts because it was a long time coming for Eric Roman and Luke Harper to even win the belts. It's ridiculous that it took for this transformation for it to happen. I think honestly they should have won the belts when they were rivaling with the Usos back in 2014. They had some of the best matches on Raw, and they had an amazing match at Battleground that year and at Money in the Bank. I think that should have been a year they should have won the tag team belts then. Not at a year like this where you have so many up and coming tag teams and they're trying to make them such a dominant force that's unbeatable. Like it's just I don't know. They've transformed them so much and it's starting to get ridiculous. But like I said, bottom line is TLNO is back together. Um I it kind of brings me back to the things I watched back when I was in middle school, back when I was in high school. Oh yeah, high school. I mean, I'm gonna just say middle school because I don't know what I'm saying. Back when I was in middle school, when these guys were together, because by the time I was in high school, they were already broken up. They didn't last very long as a team, but they put on some great matches when they were a team. Like I said, um they defeated R-Truth and Kobe Kingston to win the tag team belts. They retained the tag team belts against the Rhodes Scholars, Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow at the Royal Rumble in 2013. They had a great match against the Shield at TLC at the end of 2012. Um, like I said, man, they were just a heck of a tag team. They held the tag team belts for a pretty long time, from September all the way until they lost the belts at Extreme Rules, which I believe that was sometime in May when they lost the belts. So they had the belts for a very long time before they lost it to Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Um, you know, because by that point, after they lost the belts, um, they did challenge for the belts again, but it wasn't Kane that time. It was Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton that challenged for the belts at Payback. So that wasn't Kane again. Really, by that point, we got the Payback and because Kane had actually faced Dean Ambrose for the United States title at Payback, and Dean Ambrose won by countout. He retained the belt by countout. So Kane wasn't in that one. He actually teamed with Randy Orton to face them, if I'm not mistaken. Because I believe that it was Kane, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton. I believe it was them that actually ended the the undefeated streak of the Shield. It was actually them on SmackDown in June of that year of 2013, where they actually ended the the undefeated streak of the Shield. So like Team Hell No has a lot of history, like a lot of history together. Like I said, because they ended the Shield's undefeated streak. The Shield was undefeated as a team, as a unit, up until they faced Team Hell, Noah and Randy Orton on the episode of Smackdown where they actually defeated the Shield and ended their undefeated streak. They was undefeated up until June of that year, and Team Hell, Noah and Randy Orton actually beat the Shield and ended their undefeated streak. Um, like I said, so these guys are in the history books. Um, it's funny because that was the only tag team belt that Daniel Bryan ever won in WWE was when he teamed with Kane. And like I said, it's nice to see them back together again, especially when the very next Extreme Rules they feud with each other for the WWE World Heavyweight Title after Daniel Bryan recently won it at WrestleMania 30. So like I said, it's gonna be very interesting to see what they do and muster here with the Shield. Oh God, excuse me, team. I don't know. Like I said, I could not believe when I saw Kane come out. I just wish the Pyros thing, was how it used to be when Kane would actually come out. You actually see fire come out. Ever since the whole Pyros, ever since they can't seem to have it for a lot of superstars now because of guys like Brock Lesnar, who they spend so much money on, who barely even shows up. So, but like I said, Team Hell No are finally back together. Daniel Bryan is in a legitimate storyline, taking him away from uh, last story we had. Team No finally in Team No back together now. The Bludgeon Brothers are finally in a accurate, legit storyline, given that no one even cared about the Bludgeon Brothers, prior to this thing with Daniel Bryan because the matches they were having was so short and they kept beating jobbers. And even when they faced Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, that was a decent match. Even though they had a match against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson on SmackDown Live, and that was a pretty decent match. And even though they had a match against them at Money in the Bank, which ended up being the pre-show, um, pretty much same results, and it didn't have a lot of build up to it on SmackDown Live to really make people care much about the match or the feud at all. So at least now the Bludgeon Brothers actually being put into a legitimate feud as a tag team because honestly I feel like, in my opinion, ever since they won the tag team belts, it's kind of brought the tag team division down. Now, I'm not saying that there's not any good talents out there, any talented tag teams out there, but as far as them being the tag team champions on SmackDown Live, it's kind of brought the tag team division down because they weren't really facing up until Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. They really weren't facing anybody because they just kept beating a bunch of jobbers half the time, which really didn't make them look good. So at least now that they got Kane and Daniel Bryan together, not to say I would want them to win the belts, but because of the nostalgia act, it would kind of be a repeat of what happened last year with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, even though the match was incredible against Sheamus and Cesaro. But um, it's a first time deal. They've never faced the Bludgeon Brothers together. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm not going to say they'll 100% win the belts because, keep in mind, Kane is a part timer and he does have this mayor thing that he's doing outside of WWE. So I'm not going to say they're 100% going to win the belts, but I will say that at least they're going to give this match a lot more time than the usual amount of minutes they give the Bludgeon Brothers tag team matches where they don't give it as much time for the most part. So they're back together. It shocked the mess out of me to see nice to see Kane back. And yeah, just a really, like I said, one of the strangest, awkward tag teams that ever formed. But they did have some classic matches as Team Hell No, so it's nice to see them back together. Um, and of course, this is not something that's gonna last as much as it did back then, but it's real interesting to see them reform together. So we'll see how that goes. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna wrap it up right here. I always keep track of SmackDown Live and Monday Night Raw all the time. Just have to find my time to make videos of it. I really found this as an interesting story to make a video about, even though there have been a lot of other things going into WWE that I want to make videos about. Um, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Sign over to Mr. Flex. I hope you guys really watch and enjoy this video. Um, remember to expect the unexpected on this channel, because as always, you never know what to expect on my channel. So always keep in mind to expect the unexpected, because you don't know what to expect. I'm always gonna WWE is my priority. That's my main deal here. But I also, like I said, am known for doing hangout videos, you know, random videos, which I've been doing a lot less nowadays. Singing videos here and there, not as much anymore. Mostly hangout videos for the most part. But I do have other things in the arsenal I put on this channel. But WWE is one of my priorities, one of my main deals on here. But you see me post something else, always stay subscribed, because you never know when I post. Um, that's what I always say. Remember to expect the unexpected. And since I graduated, the LHS, Walkway LHS wrestling videos, you won't really ever see that pop up anymore, unless I happen to go to an event for my teammates that's still in high school and watch them record it, but it won't be ever me wrestling again. But like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.